In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how the Elementor Pro Post widget works, all the settings it has, and some demos of what you can do with it, and we're getting started right now. Hey, what is going on? My name is Bjorn. If you like WordPress tips and tricks and always getting better at it, make sure you click subscribe, then the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything. And this video is part of the Elementor Pro playlist in this channel. Link in the description down below or part of the comments down below. Make sure you check out the whole playlist to see all the widgets in action. And if you haven't done so yet, make sure you get on the Elementor Pro Ultimate Course waitlist, which I'm building right now. I'm still in the process of building it. It's not completed yet. Getting on the waitlist is no obligation. But if you do like Elementor and you want to know how to do everything with it, get on that waitlist. Link in the description down below. And with that out of the way, let's head in the screen capture. I'll see you there.
So now we're going to add the post element. So we have posts. Drag and drop that in. You can make a new section first, or you can just drag and drop them like I did there. And what it will pull in right away is any posts that you already have on your site. And currently I have 4, so it pulled in 4. You can change the skin. You can have classic or have it be cards. I like the cards because it puts my terrible headshot in there. I need to change that. And then you can do a lot of different things to customize this area. Right now all the posts are uncategorized, and this is the category they're in, so that's not very helpful. But then we have the featured image, my thumbnail, or the thumbnail of the author if there's other authors on your site, the title of the post, some of the text from the post, a link to read more, the date it was published, and the number of comments that you have going on in there. And right now we have 3 columns. We can change that to have different numbers of columns. So if we had 4, that'll fit all 4 posts in a row. You can change it for a tablet. So if that's too many, you want only 2 on tablet, just have 2 columns. On mobile phone, 1 is probably the best. Then you can decide how many posts you want to show there. Defaults to 6. If you change this to 2, it only shows 2 of the posts. But I'm going to set it to 4 because that's how many I want to have across. Do you want to show the image, the featured image? Yes or no? And even the author thumbnail. Yes or no? I prefer yes. It looks much more engaging that way. Masonry Grid, if you have these things stacked, and even we saw when we changed that right now, it takes the height of the image that you have and makes it that height for the display. So you have things that aren't necessarily lined up 100%. You'll notice that, let's change the number of columns actually. Let's change it to 2. See it more clearly, possibly. No, let's stretch the image on 2. So if you have, for example, more down below Sunday afternoon, you'll see that September 11 here is higher than all the others. And September 11 is just a coincidence. I don't mean that to reference any kind of historic event. I just realized that I had September 11th there. Awesome. Anyway, so we have the ability to have these things not lined up, which is the Masonry Grid. So if you want them perfect, choose Masonry off, and that will stretch these images to be all the same size. You can change the size of the image. And actually not the size of the image, the size of the image that's pulled into this area. So if we choose a thumbnail, you'll see all these get a little bit fuzzy, and they change their position a little bit. We choose medium. They're a bit better. These ones over here are pretty good. This one you can see is a little bit fuzzy. Choose large. And everybody's very clear now. And the bigger you go, the slower this page will load because the file size will be bigger. So keep that in mind. And the image ratio, that is how much of the image is actually zoomed in and how big it appears in relation to the card. So you can have it be quite small and you can have it be quite large. That actually looks pretty interesting that way. I'm going to have it like that. You can change that for mobile. So if you go to mobile, go to tablet, that might be just too big. Maybe you want to have that down to about that size. And on mobile, so a phone, that's actually a pretty good default size there. So back to desktop. We've got a nice list of posts here. Do we want to show the title? Yes or no? If we do want to show the title, what heading tags are going to be? Do not make them H1s. There should only be one H1 per page. Search engines can differentiate between different H1s now, so you don't have to have one H1. It's not against standards to have more than one H1. but it makes it more clear in regards to SEO what the main focus of a page is if you just have one H1. So stick to one. Anyway, choose which heading level you want, or if a div or span or paragraph tag. Do we want to display the excerpt, which was a little bit of text that we had there? Yes or no? How long is it? Mine are quite short. You'll be able to adjust these to suit your needs better if you have longer amounts there. The metadata, this is what appears down here. So September 11, if you want to get rid of the date, this just removes the date from here, does not remove the date from the actual post. If you want to get rid of the comments, we can get rid of that. So if we want to have just the author and the time, then we have the author and the time, or just the author, or author and comments, or we can have all of them. And they appear not in the order you put them in, but they have a defined order. So even if we add date last, it's going to be added right after the author. How do we want to separate these guys? We have, by default, this icon here, we could have a /, for example, as the separator for all these. Do we want to read more link? Yes or no? Do we want to change the text of it? Maybe you want to do see post for the text. The badge, which is this guy up here, the category badge, we can either show that or not with this toggle. We can choose it to be categories or tags or format. I don't really have any of that set up yet. I'm just going to keep it as categories, which is uncategorized. The avatar, which is me or you or whoever wrote the post, have that on, yes or no. We can actually have posts show up based on specific things that we specify. So the post can be pulled from pages, manual selection, or the current query, which you build down below. I'm just going to keep it at posts. But you can, if you have other post types on your page, they'll show up here as well. You can choose the author. If you have multiple authors, you can choose posts from just a single category with specific tags, specific formats. You can order them by title, which will make them alphabetical if we change this to ascending. So now it's alphabetical. Descending is reverse alphabetical. You can change them by menu order, which is an option inside the post editor. You can set a menu order. You can have them randomly appear. I'm going to set this back to date. And then the offset option that we have here, I'm going to change this to 1. And that got rid of the first entry, which was the parrot. Let's put that back. There we go. There's the parrot. The reason you might want to do this is if you wanted to have post elements stacked on top of each other. For example, if we change the layout of this back to 3 columns, let's duplicate this thing. And now let's change this one to just 1 column, 1 post per page, no offset. I'm going to need to change the image ratio here quite a bit. So here we can have our first post appearing at the top and make it really big, and then the next post smaller down below if you wanted. That's a pretty cool little feature, and it relies on using the offset. So it removes the first one from this list and puts it up here. You can even have 2. So if you wanted to have 2 up here, that makes sense as well. 2 per page. Now we have the stairs and the parrot. Get rid of the stairs down here by going to query offset by 2. Now we have just the monkey and the bubbles, stairs and parrot on top. If I had more posts, that would work a bit better, but I don't have more posts, so I'm going to change both of these back to 1. And now we have a nice big post on top, smaller posts down below. So those are all the settings for the posts, and there's quite a few. Actually, there's more. Sorry. Pagination. So if you have multiple posts, which clearly we do, but if you have more posts than fit in this area, you can have pagination. So if we change the layout for this bottom one, let's change it to be 2. 2 posts per page. Let's change the image ratio to make it smaller so we have it all on one screen. Change the pagination to numbers. We now have numbers down below. We can go to page 2. of the posts right in here. You can change it to previous and next, numbers plus previous and next, and that way people can navigate through posts right on this homepage, which is pretty neat. I'm going to turn off pagination. I'm just going to set this back to 3 and 3. There we go. We have a nice little post layout set up here. Under style, we can change the gap between the columns. So as I increase this, let me scroll down. It changes the gap between the posts. If you want no gap, put it down to 0. You want big gap, put it up there. I like a little gap like that. A gap between rows. If we had multiple rows of posts, this would change the gap between them. You can change the alignment of the content. You'll see the text and the avatar move around. The card, change the background color if you want to make it stand out. So if you wanted this to be it's light gray, it stands out from the background, which is white. We can give it a border. So we give it a border of dark gray. The border doesn't appear until you give it a border width. Let's make it 3 so it's very clear that we have a border. We can add a border radius to round the corners. You can round them quite a bit. I'm not recommending you have a dark border like this. I just made it dark and thick so you can see these changes I'm making. Horizontal padding will increase the padding on the sides. I'm going to set this back to the default. Vertical padding will change the padding top and bottom. You notice when you add vertical padding, there's a gap at the top between the image and the top, and it applies the same background as down below. You have box shadow on or off. Currently it's on. There's a hover effect. So you notice when I hover over the image, it slightly changes from darker to brighter. That is this gradient hover effect right here. Meta border color, which is the border down below here. We can change that to a different color if we want. I'm going to choose a light gray. And the image, we can do quite a bit of work on the image itself. You can add spacing to move the title down or move it closer or further away. Or CSS filters. So if you wanted to make it blurry, then when you hover, you want to make it not blurry. That's pretty interesting. Reveal the image. So you can change those types of things on hover, change the hue, brightness, contrast, saturation. I'm going to move this back down to no blur. Maybe make it blurry on hover instead. That's a more common way to do it. There we go. Blurs out the image on hover. Change the badge position, which is this guy on top here. Change the color of the badge. If you wanted to keep with the website, change it to a yellowy. If I wanted to bore you with going and finding the exact color, I would do that, but I'm just going to choose yellow. It's close enough. Change the border radius. Because it's a pill right now. If we change it to smaller, we can have either perfect rectangle or slightly rounded corners. Change the size, small to big. Change the margin, which is where it's placed on the page or how far it's away from the corner. Change the typography. Same typography settings as usual, except for the size. Looks like you can't change the size of the uncategorized text. Change the avatar size though. Quite small to quite big. And the content is the written content in here. So we can change the color as we can everywhere else. So change the color of the headline. If you under content and title, just want to keep mine how it is. Change the typography of the headline, the spacing, add more space below the title, between the title and the excerpt. The metadata, which is the data down here, change that. I'm going to change mine to be a little bit darker. There we go. That's nice and dark. Typography settings, a lot the same as usual. I'm going to change my font to sans serif. I'm going to go with Open Sans. There we go. The excerpt, change the color, typography, spacing. read more, typography, color, spacing, all the same options for all these different sections of this content box. I'm going to take off the border from the card because I don't want a border. I don't want any rounding either. So there we go. Now we have this guy who's slightly different now because we have this background gray applied and even the hover. I don't know if I can copy the hover, but if we right click on here, we can choose copy and then right click up here and choose paste style. Now it shrunk it right down, but we have our hover and our gray background. So now we just need to get this bigger again. Change our columns to 1. Change our image ratio to be smaller so it's not ridiculous. Now we have it back to how it was, but now we have all the same styles as down below. And then we have the advanced options, believe it or not. And a lot of these are the same as before with the margins and paddings. Ones that we didn't cover very much are things like scrolling effect, although I don't think it'll apply to these. Oh yeah, it does. So I can have the whole section come and scroll with me if I make it sticky, but we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. You can add backgrounds if you want. You can add borders here as well. Adjust the responsiveness, which we'll do in just a second, by going to tablet. And the responsiveness should be pretty good because these are Elementor created elements, so it should be pretty good. This one isn't quite how we want it. Change this to 1 column. Change the image ratio. Let's get the parrot's eye in there. There we go. It's much better. Change this one to 2. Post per page. There we go. Let's go to mobile or phone. Now we have our parrot, stairs, monkey. We go back to 3. Get our bubbles back in there because they're all in one list anyway. So now we have it optimized for responsiveness. So we have nice looking layout on desktop. Go to tablet. Nice looking layout on tablet. This guy came back. So it looks like this post per page affects everybody, unfortunately. And then go to mobile phone. And we have a nice layout on mobile phone as well. And after you've done all that, make sure you click on update to save your work. And that's how you do the post elements.
So that's how it works. I hope this video helps you. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to click subscribe, then the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything. And also consider buying Elementor through the affiliate link down below. It doesn't cost you any more to purchase it that way, but Elementor does send me a few dollars commission, which helps me keep these glorious lights on. And if you do purchase through there, thank you very much. And next up is clicking one of these videos that popped up on the right-hand side so you can get even better at WordPress. And until next time, keep crushing it, and I will see you in the next video.